Hello everyone and welcome to Brainwaves episode 154, bringing you the best in tabletop gaming news. My name's Ian McAllister.
And my name is Oliver Kinner. And these are the headlines for the week of Monday, the 25th of November, 2024. Tariffs and trade rules tax tabletop publishers. Zenobia Awards announces winner. And Hasbro gets sued. All this and more on this episode of Brainwaves.
The incoming United States administration and changes in trade rules in the European Union are causing massive headaches for a range of tabletop publishers. Let's start in the US though. Steve Jackson Games took to their website as many publishers in the States started to post their fears about the Trump administration raising tariffs in relation to goods from China. China is the main manufacturer of all the board games that we enjoy. In that post, Meredith Placco, the chief executive officer of Steve Jackson Games, gives a brief overview of how tariffs work, and then goes on to say this.
I've been speaking with my shipping representatives about the increasing freight costs we expect to see with the rise in tariffs. We're already paying extreme freight prices, which will only go up as demand increases. The last time tariffs were levied on Chinese manufactured goods, freight costs went up. Now I'm in a position that forces me to examine how much we may need to raise prices if the most extreme of the proposed tariffs goes into effect. I'm also trying to do right by my staff, but I can only do so much, you know. How long can business owners incur these costs, protect our staff, and not have consumers pay through the nose? Can I accept breaking even for the time being to keep my people employed and our games affordable? But what happens when the company starts losing money? Many CEOs and business owners are staring down this reality right now. This isn't just a theoretical exercise. We have to plan for the worst.
Now, we've seen many US publishers post about their fears that the Trump administration will make their businesses unviable. Meanwhile, in the UK, Brexit continues to have repercussions for all businesses. A new set of rules is due to come into force at the start of 2025. They are called the General Product Safety Regulation, or GPSR. The GPSR aims to ensure the safety of products placed on the EU market and protect the health and safety of consumers, including children, the elderly, and people with disabilities. Effectively, companies need to have a health and safety breakdown of their products and also assign a person who puts their name to this safety certification. That person is called the authorized representative and must be within the EU. There are companies that provide this service. When news site Raffle looked into the situation, they were quoted between £300 and £3,000 a year, depending on the scale of the company the service was representing. Several creators in the UK have said they are no longer shipping to the EU because of these new regulations. Amongst them is Bad Squiddo Games that makes a diverse range of miniatures. They posted this on Blue Sky.
Unless something drastically happens in the next few days, we're going to have to stop shipping to the EU at the end of the month. That includes to other shops. This is massive. It's why we're imploring you that if you were thinking of getting anything from us, now is the time.
Richard Simpson from We're Not Wizards works with companies listing products on Amazon. Many companies use Fulfilled by Amazon, FBA, to distribute their products. Amazon has recently told UK sellers that if they ship to Northern Ireland, they will need to comply with the new regulations. Thanks very much to Richard for that information. Thanks to Kory from our Discord for sourcing both these stories for us. Raffle have a piece on this as well, but it is behind their paywall, so we didn't want to quote from it too much. Please do support them if you can and go and read their articles. Now, Brexit is continuing to be a terrible idea in a shock to literally no one. The biggest piece of political self-harm in history, very likely. But of course, no one's allowed to say that in the UK. No politician could say that, not the incoming Labour administration. No one's allowed to stand up and go, by the way, Brexit, really, really bad. I saw a story recently where British cheese couldn't get to the cheese awards in Italy because of Brexit, for instance. Just
wow.
It's just a disaster. And this is just part of that.
What annoys me the most, though, is that there is no sort of government guidance on this. You know, fair enough, this is the deal, this is what the situation is, and they haven't negotiated new terms or whatever, but at least give businesses some support and say, right, this is what you need to do, this is how it works, here's some clarification, you know, call us if you need some help, anything. But no, it's just
that would require some
left to them.
forethought.
Yeah, you think, wouldn't you? It is just ridiculous.
The number of times that the UK government has said, "Oh, we're bringing in these new regulations, or we're putting new controls at the borders around the UK," and then have delayed that. I don't know how many times it is now. It's a lot.
It is.
They just keep delaying it and delaying it because they know these things are going to be a disaster.
Yeah,
that was certainly under the last Tory government. I haven't seen as much from the Labour government that came in last year. Who knows?
Yeah. And speaking of disaster, obviously Trump is going to be the disaster for the US, by the sounds of it.
Sorry, the Labour government that came in this year, not last year.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, so Trump, by the sounds of it, is going to impose, 60% import duty or whatever it's called?
That's what he keeps saying. Whether it will be the case,
no.
Who knows?
But everyone's obviously scared now, and everyone's trying to predict what might happen. And again, the keyword being here, trying to plan for this. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see.
Chris Prescott, who's also on our Discord from Unfringed Games, was speculating that might see an uptick in the use of US publishers for EU manufacturing, maybe. It is more expensive, obviously. Like China is like the place to go if you're going to make your board game. And especially in terms of manufacturing plastic components, China is basically unrivaled. But there are board game manufacturers in the EU that do a lot of work. There's some Polish ones. I'm sure there's a few in Germany.
Yep.
You know, these things do exist. They do make games a bit more expensive, but they are there.
And maybe they're not going to be that much more expensive as all these tariffs come in. So it may actually work out cheaper in total, terms. So
indeed,
we'll have to wait to see.
Yeah, we'll bring you more on that as we hear anything and as publishers start to look at alternative options. Oliver, a little bit of awards news now.
Yes, we've got some historic awards. The Zenobia Awards are in their second year, and on 15th of November, they announced in a press release on the SD Hist website the award winners of, this year's award. The award aims to foster diversity in board game design by offering mentoring and guidance to designers from underrepresented backgrounds. This year's competition featured 37 semi-finalists, narrowing down to 9 finalists before the winners were chosen. The top prize went to The Porters by Lucas Coburn, Nico Coburn, and Alex Goss. The game explores the experiences of Black porters on Canadian railways, organizing unions while managing the demands of their grueling jobs. It was praised for its compelling theme, innovative mechanisms, and clever design. Along with the $1,000 cash prize, the creators also received a travel grant of equal value to attend a game convention of their choice. 2 other games earned special recognition as runners-up, each receiving a $500 cash prize. Malacca, The Forgotten Empire by Fendi Norzaman, is a game that focuses on the Sultanate of Malacca on the Malay Peninsula, where players work to build a great empire through a blend of 4X gameplay, action selection, and rondel mechanisms. Judges highlighted its creative approach to exploration and its historical grounding. Silencio by Luis Salas is a poignant game that centers on the Mexican community's search for family members who have gone missing during cartel-related violence. The judges commended its balance of complexity and depth, as well as its thoughtful engagement with a challenging modern theme. Based on past performance, the winning games are likely to reach publication in the coming years. The Zenobia Award Board thanked the mentors, judges, and major sponsors, including Board Game Guides, Fourth Circle Games, GMT Games, Leader Games, San Diego Historical Games Convention, Whirligig Games, and Spielworks.
It's probably worth us just saying, just for a moment, that Kim Bertram, who is the head honcho of Fourth Circle Games, is a patron of this cast.
Yeah, but despite all that, it is a great award, and we've reported on it before, and it's just, we announced the nominees, was it in a few casts ago?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we talked about that a little bit. I know that Molly House, which was one of the runner-up games in last year, is about to come out from Whirligig Games, and I would imagine that Cole Worley is looking at this set of games, looking for his next project.
Probably, yeah.
Seems, very, very likely. A fantastic award that promotes diversity in the sort of like historical gaming scene, which is great. And it's not just like Hex and Counter War games, all sorts of games in there. We do really encourage you to go and sort of look at the list and see the sort of sheer breadth of theme and mechanisms and complexity that's in there. Some fantastic things. And
keep an eye out on the of the names of the designers. You'll probably see them appear again very soon. So yeah, definitely great award. Now, not so good news for Hasbro, Ian.
No, earlier this month, on the 13th of November, West Palm Beach Firefighters Pension Fund filed a lawsuit in New York's District Court against Hasbro Incorporated. Hasbro is, of course, the company behind brands such as Monopoly, Transformers, and Magic the Gathering. The class action lawsuit alleges that Hasbro misled investors about its inventory management and sales performance, which ultimately led to a drop in the company's share price. Hasbro's inventory issues stem from the pandemic, when it overstocked due to the high demand for its products. Hasbro had previously said that this stock was sitting on the books because it
reflected outstanding and anticipated demand,
and not a decrease in demand, as was actually the case. According to the lawsuit, between January and October 2023, Hasbro repeatedly played down its inventory issues, thereby artificially inflating its stock price. That changed when, in October 2023, the company forecasted a $50 million one-time cost to address inventory issues, including additional marketing and obsolescence costs. This means that the company was effectively writing down some of the stock. As a result of that announcement, Hasbro's stock price saw a sharp drop of 11.7%. The West Palm Beach Firefighters Pension Fund wants to pursue the case as a class action so that others who bought Hasbro stock during the period between January and October 2023 can join the lawsuit. Hasbro has yet to publicly comment on the allegations. Sounds like a bit of a mess. I mean, a lot of companies over-invested in the stock of whatever they were selling at the height of the pandemic. I know several bicycle companies are in trouble because of this kind of thing, where they think peaks are going to be there forever and not become a trough at some point. Absolutely blows my mind, because that's not how anything works.
Yeah,
I've seen it multiple times across the bicycle industry, which I'm no longer a part of, but while I was running a bike shop, there's several companies that are really in trouble because they ordered like the peak of the pandemic was going to last forever, and Hasbro kind of have done the same here.
Yeah, and I get that they have to put a positive spin on their marketing and all that. So publicly,
of course,
they're doing well. But to the investors, you have to be a bit more careful, clearly. So if you're not honest enough, I mean, I don't know how clear the message has to be, but yeah, you have to be a bit more careful if you talk to your investors. So
yeah, I don't think these folks are investors as such, but it's obviously a pension fund that's got investments in Hasbro. So I don't know the exact legal status, but certainly like they put faith in the statements that Hasbro were putting out, and yeah, that's all gone horribly wrong. So, and with investments, your money may go up or down.
Yeah, remember that.
Before we move on to the news, a little update from the US.
We've reported many times on the unionization efforts of Tabletop Workers United that are attempting to form a union across 5 of the largest games cafes in New York. On October the 28th, they announced their intention to strike. Shortly after, Raskol was contacted by Mark Smith asking for a donation towards a hardship fund for the union. This comes from a public Raskol article, but you will need to sign up to the site for a free account to access it. The journalist contacted said that it would be unethical for them to contribute. Mark said they hadn't thought of that. Over the course of emails between the two, the Raskol representative tried to establish Mark's position in the union, but was unable to do so. The union said they do not have a member called Mark Smith. This might have just been a scam if not for this piece of info. The email that was used to contact Raskol is registered to one of the owners of these cafes, John Freeman. Over the course of the summer, the union has tried to make progress in their demands, but the refusal by the owners to even attend negotiations has made that difficult. Kit Freeman said of the demonstrations the union has carried out,
"This demonstration, by the owners' own admission, brought them back to the table. The strength of our collective power is a force to be reckoned with. And as the owners regress on negotiations and continue to disrespect our unit members, we are preparing to wield that power in pursuit of a contract."
During recent negotiations, Andy Hoffman, the legal representative for the owners, said that
"These one-day strikes aren't building trust."
And that
"More strikes on the weekend, more petitions, more bad vibes in the workplace is only going to limit what we can do for you."
While also dismissing employees' concerns about having to carry out work in unsafe conditions. So the dispute rumbles on because the employers apparently can't see the wood for the trees. And then this weird request for a hardship fund. What's going on?
I think that was Freeman trying to basically, because Raskol had been quite an advocate for the Tabletop Workers Union and Tabletop Workers United. And I think this was Freeman just trying to dig up some dirt, basically, like make them look bad, make them look like they were complicit in some way or form. Of course, Rascal stuck to their extremely ethical journalistic guns, and that's why I personally do back Rascal. They're fantastic. They've been doing some great work recently. And yeah, I just don't get this. Like, just pay your workers and give them some rights, and they'll be happier and work longer for you. This is not hard mathematics.
No, it definitely isn't. So it's an easy thing to do, and clearly trying to stoop so low that you have to try and sow some discontent or something. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. And if Jamie was here, he would remind all of us to join your union if you can, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Now on to the news.
The German Parliament, the Bundestag, recently hosted its first board games evening, which was organised by the Spiel des Jahres Association. With around 60 attendees, including MPs from across the political spectrum, the evening highlighted how games foster teamwork, empathy, and connection in today's fast-paced world. Attendees played a wide range of award-winning games, including Dorf Romantik, Cascadia, and Fun Facts, sparking laughter and camaraderie throughout the evening. Bundestag President Bärbel Bass opened the event by playing Sky Team, this year's winner of the Spiel des Jahres award. She served as co-pilot alongside Spiel des Jahres chair Harald Schrepers. Bärbel Bass said the game's message was teamwork and jokingly suggested that coalition meetings might benefit from a game of Sky Team to remind everyone of what they have in common. Co-host Katrin Buda, chair of the Culture Committee, underlined the cultural importance of board games. She said,
"People played them thousands of years ago, and they still do today. This shows how important games and gaming are to society's culture."
The event also shed some light on how board games can bridge generations and address societal challenges. Ulrich Bahr, chair of the Family Affairs Committee, said,
"Playing games is a precious way to spend time together, away from daily stress. It creates moments of connection which are so rare in our fast-paced times. For older individuals, games offer a wonderful way to overcome isolation."
Howard Schrepers emphasised the need for greater political recognition of board games when he said,
"Board games are crucial for family and societal cohesion, combating isolation, and as cultural assets. More needs to happen to remove barriers and integrate games into policy discussions."
With its success, the event demonstrated how board games can unite people from all walks of life. It's nice to see how actively involved the Spiel des Jahres team is in promoting games to a wider audience and trying to raise his hobby's profile even politically. We'll skip over the fact that the German political system is in some sort of an uproar at the moment.
I don't think they've played Sky Team often enough by the sounds of it.
I think they need to play some more cooperative games, as it is rather a bit of political turmoil at the moment. But it is an interesting thing that games can bring us together and have done throughout history. My friend Tim Clare has recently released a book called The Game Changers, which is I'm working my way through just now, and is a sort of fantastic cultural history of board games. We do urge you to check that one out, or at least I do anyway. I've read some of it. I don't think Oliver's seen it yet, but it's very good.
I've got a copy, but I haven't read it yet. No, I haven't started.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm only 2 or 3 chapters in, but it's very good.
Yeah, can't wait.
Now back to a little bit of finances, but this time it's Asmodee.
Yeah, in a press release dated 19th of November, Embracer Group has reaffirmed its plans to spin off its subsidiary, Asmodee Group, as a separate entity. The spin-off follows Embracer's ongoing divestment of EasyBrain, which will enable a €400 million equity investment in Asmodee. Of this investment, €300 million will be used to reduce Asmodee's net financial debt, which stood at €893 million on the 30th of September, with €100 million bolstering Asmodee's balance sheet. We would like to remind listeners that back in April, when this spin-off story first came to light, it was alongside the news that Embracer has saddled Asmodee with a €900 million loan that Embracer has used to fund the main parts of the company. CEO Thomas Kögler expressed confidence in Asmodee's growth. He said,
"Asmodee is well positioned for the future, and we are now setting financial targets to reflect our confidence in our growth trajectory. Our aim is to achieve mid-single-digit organic revenue growth over the medium term, and an adjusted EBITDA margin in excess of 18% in the medium term. With favourable market dynamics and our focus on innovation and operational efficiency, we're confident in our ability to enhance our products and deliver sustainable value to our stakeholders."
The spin-off and strategic refinancing aim to position Asmodee for sustainable growth and maximize shareholder value while allowing the company to continue with mergers and acquisitions. At a meeting on the same day as the press release, Kogler said that Asmodee is looking to expand once more, in a similar fashion to its rapid acquisition of companies after being bought by Eurazeo in 2014. He said of the companies targeted for acquisition,
"They are most of them business partners of ours on a daily basis, spread through publishing and distribution capabilities, mainly on the publishing side, and we are quite excited to reignite our second growth engine through acquisitions."
Asmodee also shared some market research that put the global board game market at $13 billion and growing. This is double its value in 2018. That research puts annual growth around 4% and sees the market hitting a valuation of $15.6 billion by 2028. So, so Asmodee is trying to sort of, well, it's going to be spun out. I think neither of us think that's actually going to be separated completely. There will obviously be some sort of ownership. This must be some sort of legal terminology or something.
Yeah, as I understand it, I don't think it's actually separating from the Embracer company fully. There will still be financial entanglements there, so it's not being sold or parted ways with completely. Yeah. Asmodee and the sort of board game publishing side of Embracer is the only part of Embracer that is making money. So it would seem absolutely weird for them to to sell that at the moment, unless they were getting a lot of money for it. And at the moment, they're not selling it; they're just sort of spinning it off a little bit. Yeah. With it still, it's quite large debt pile. Still another 600 million euros to pay down, but apparently that's okay.
I mean, it feels like they're literally spinning it out as a sort of separate entity in the sense it can operate independently, but obviously still owned by Embracer. So that's probably what that means. Whereas I think some of the other brands are much more closely linked, and probably system shares with this Asmodee could eventually be sold quite easily if they did intend to, I guess. That's
it would definitely make things easier, I would think, if they do sell Asmodee down the line, which is a possibility, I would guess, as Asmodee becomes more valuable. That the valuation of the board game industry is kind of astonishing to me.
Wow, yeah.
That's a lot of money and a good growth over the next few years as well. I do wonder how much that'll be affected by changes in the American political system that we're talking about earlier in the cast, tariffs, that kind of thing. Because obviously I think a lot of that market research has happened just before the US elections. So it's not going to have taken that kind of thing into account. So I think those valuations might change a bit. Amber Cook, a respected veteran of the games industry, passed away unexpectedly on October 25th, 2024. Known for her behind-the-scenes contributions, Cook played a pivotal role in branding and business development for numerous games and projects. Her career highlights include work with Looney Labs, Asmodee Group, and Roll20. She was also instrumental in the relaunch of Free RPG Day, a founding member of the American Tabletop Awards, fundraising co-chair for the Rose Gauntlet Foundation, and contributed to the rebranding of Games and Stuff, the store run by our partner, Paul Alexander Butler. People from the industry, including Eric Lang and Gil Hova, shared their condolences on social media. Amber is survived by her son, James, and a GoFundMe campaign was set up by Paul Alexander Butler, Nicole Hoy, and James Mary Boucher to support James's educational, medical expenses, and daily needs. There's a link to the campaign in the show notes.
Game designer Kory Heath took his own life on the 18th of November after enduring years of chronic pain and depression. Kory was best known for creating Zendo, an inductive logic game that combines simplicity with intellectual challenge, exemplifying his philosophy of deep thought and the desire for simplicity. His creativity also extended to digital spaces, with the minimalist iOS puzzle app Blockhouse. People from the industry, including Jeff Engelstein, Andrew Looney, and Dave Chalker, expressed their sadness on social media. The Brainwaves team's thoughts are with Amber and Kory's family and friends during this difficult time.
Now, I'd just like to take a moment to look at some jobs, opportunities, and events that are happening across the tabletop industry. As always, we'd recommend the Tabletop Jobs Facebook group if you are looking for jobs of all sorts in all sorts of places from the tabletop industry. We have nothing else really to highlight there at the moment. I'll be down at Dragon Meet in the next week or so. That's coming up this weekend as this cast goes out, actually. So if you see me around there, do come and say hello. That's the sort of annual RPG-focused convention that's in London, but it's got a lot of sort of tabletop games publishers there of all stripes. So looking forward to seeing some of you there. Oliver, you've got a raffle going on still?
Yes, the Board Game Raffle in aid of the Trussell Trust, which runs UK food banks, is ongoing. I try and run it every month for the whole month, so the November one will still be running when the podcast comes out. There should be December one if I have enough games to get together. Tickets are £1. There are also ticket bundles available. You can win prototypes or review copies of games. Some of them have obviously been played, but they're still in very, very good condition. All proceeds, obviously, minus platform fees and payment charges and postage costs, go directly to the amazing charity that campaigns for a future where nobody needs to use emergency food. Of course, now that days are getting colder here in the UK, these food packets are probably especially needed. So, yeah, if you can support it, please do. There'll be a link in the show notes to that. Well, that leads me nicely on to giving a shout out to our patrons. There's Kevin Bertram from Forza Game and James Naylor from Naylor Games, as well as Shaun Newman from the Gamelord team. If you want to support us financially, please go to the Patreon at patreon.com/thegiantbrain. There's also information of other ways of supporting the cast on the giantbrain.co.uk website. And of course, we have Fanroll still going. Again, there'll be a link in the show notes with all the sort of different codes that you need for that. That leaves me to pass over to Iain about something being dumped by someone. That's a mystery.
Indeed. Our last story today concerns happenings in Yorkshire and comes to us via Reddit. A user by the name of Talking to My Diary posted a topic in the subreddit r/casual_UK entitled "Anyone Want to Play Monopoly? Got a neighbour who's getting rid of a few sets," with a picture of a front garden in Huddington near York with what appears to be several hundred board games all lying in a heap. They clarified slightly later, "Just for reference, I have no idea what's going on. I just walked past this house and it looks abandoned." The pile consists of predominantly various editions of Monopoly, but also Trivial Pursuit, Scrabble, and the Game of Life. Commenters were quick to suggest theories as to how the Midden manifested, from unsold stock to a scam gone awry. The main agreements were they'd been fly-tipped, and there'd be some worth in the admittedly water-damaged games that wasn't just Monopoly money. Now, this was posted on the 18th of November, and there's currently no word on what has happened since then. It is snowing quite badly in England right now, so maybe with the weather, they are now a soup of cardboard mulch and plastic layers spinning slowly around a wheel. Do you have any theories, folks?
Yeah, I was going to say the Game of Life might still be intact. That seemed to be mostly plastic, didn't it? So...
From my memory of it, yes,
yeah.
It was.
So, no idea. That sounds interesting, though. So, yeah,
we've got a link in the show notes so you can have a look at this strange pile of Monopoly board games. Yeah, very strange.
We're not going to post the address, though, just for the privacy of the owner of that property.
Oh, God, no. Yeah.
Not that we have it.
There's a link to the Reddit with a picture of the house in question.
Well, on that note, it's time to say goodbye. Thanks very much for listening, as always. If you like what you've listened to, then obviously support us by sharing the podcast. Tell people about it, because podcast discovery is awful, as we all know. If you can, and if it's available on your favorite podcasting platform, please drop us a review and some rating. We are on pretty much all of it, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. You can listen to us in the browser on the Giant Brain website, various ways. So you should find us somewhere. If you want to follow us, well, you can follow me on tabletopgamesblog.com, my blog about board game reviews and thought pieces. All my links in there as well for Blue Sky and everything else. Then for the Giant Brain, there's obviously Discord, a link in the show notes. Lots of discussions going on there, a way to submit some news stories if you come across anything, but general chat about board games, TTRGPs, and various other things. I think films as well, if I remember correctly.
Absolutely.
We're on Blue Sky as Giant Brain UK, Instagram, Giant Brain UK, Facebook, The Giant Brain, and as I said, the website, giantbrain.co.uk. Have a look there for all the contact information and various social media links. And if you want to send us a story and we can take it in confidence, if you want to stay anonymous, email is giantbrainuk@gmail.com. So yeah, thanks very much for listening. And we'll see you, hear you. Well, you'll listen to us in a couple of weeks' time or so. See you then.
Bye for now.